If you had a job that paid you $1 every single second, it would take you 32,000 years to earn $1 trillion. Now, consider that our global debt is currently sitting at over $400 trillion. And at that same rate, $1 every second, it would take nearly 13 million years to pay that back. 13 million years. That's longer than humans have existed on this planet. So I ask you this: why are we working harder and harder every year and contributing to a system that is mathematically designed to fail? Why are we trading our most precious asset, our energy, our chi, our life force, to fuel a treadmill or to be in a hamster wheel that is only accelerating in debt and is not a system built on truth? I'm Gail Thomas. Thank you for being here today. I like to talk about things to do with consciousness and coherence. And today I'd like to look behind the curtain of this global financial matrix we're in to understand why the system feels like it's stealing your soul, and how we can reclaim sovereignty by shifting from that frequency of haste and grasping to the frequency of authentic creation and value. In my work, I talk a lot about embodied coherence and bliss. Coherence is when your system, your heart, your mind, your nervous system, your energy field, they're acting as a unified intelligence. But we're currently living in this global economic system that is profoundly incoherent, and it's built on a lie. A while ago, I was exploring this in a conversation with one of my heroes, Jeff Booth, who is a brilliant mind at the intersection of technology, Bitcoin, and the future of money. And he describes our financial system as being fundamentally insolvent. When you have $400 trillion of debt, the only way to keep a system alive is to print more money. But money isn't just paper or zeros, digits on a screen. Money is a way of storing value, is a way of storing time and effort and life force, something that you've already put into something. For example, you go into work, you spend your hours, your focus, your body, your nervous system, and in return, you receive money as a kind of frozen record of that energy. Something that you can then later use for the necessities in life, like food and shelter, education, or getting good rest, or to add layers of other beauty and value to your life, such as holidays and clothes. So when a centralized system keeps printing money out of thin air, it isn't adding any more real beauty or resources to the world. What it's doing is introducing more incoherence into our collective field. It's like adding static to a clear signal, and it simply increases the number of claims on the same physical reality, which causes your stored energy to lose its resonant power. Without your consent, the frequency of your savings and your earnings, the literal hours of your life that you spend in dedicated service, is quietly being shaved down in value. While this process remains invisible to the eye, your nervous system feels it, however. It's a very subtle yet constant pressure to run faster, to keep doing better, but just to stay in place. It's like treading water. And in a very real sense, the system is taking small slices of your sovereign life energy, your past hours, your effort, your heart, your pure intention, to fund a present reality that the real economy cannot honestly sustain, that 400 trillion in debt, pulling you away from your own still point, your own center, and your own energy output in the world that is valued or should be reciprocated or exchanged for things that you value. This isn't just a financial problem for us, it's a nervous system problem and an energy problem. When the value of your money is consistently being inflated in a way where you're forced into what I call a frequency of haste, frequency of grasping, because your earnings and your savings are worth less and less every day, you feel this subconscious pressure to run faster, to tread water. You work more hours and you take more risks and you spend less time in the present moment. you are on the treadmill. This creates this state of chronic fight or flight in the body, and this state of feeling overwhelmed or always tired. And it's hard here to find the energy to reconnect with the self, and it's hard to experience bliss and higher states of consciousness when your primary biological driver is the fear of failing, or just to keep treading water, or that fear of not being or having enough. As someone who has worked and studied with various modalities of how to cultivate coherence and bliss experiences and higher consciousness, I've often reflected on how this theft in our money system leaves us with burnout, anxiety, and that feeling of scattered energy. And this shows up in our moods, our behaviors, in our body, in our energy system, and in our aura. And it's more about getting things done and watching where the time goes, and we're losing in that process that sense of depth and stillness and integration, because the system is demanding that you stay on this axis of constant outward attention, expression, reaction, and production. So what's the alternative to a system that feels like it's constantly draining your battery? In my recent chat with Jeff Booth, he described Bitcoin as much more than just a new type of money. He called it the honest layer for humanity. And to understand this in layman's terms, think of the current financial system as a crooked or malaligned mirror. And in this old system, the value that we as humans provide, this divine energy that we channel into the world through our work, is constantly interfered with and manipulated with by middle institutions, shifting trends in the market and political agendas. And it's a system of desperation where you're like a rat caught up in the wheel, moving faster and faster, forcing you to work harder just to stay in the same place. This constant haste keeps your nervous system locked in a perpetual fear, making it nearly impossible to find those still moments where we can access those higher states of consciousness, those moments of bliss that should be our birthright. Bitcoin is a system that, for me, I see it as a way out of this situation. Jeff Booth explains Bitcoin as a decentralized protocol, much like the internet, but that is bounded by the laws of time and physics, not like the money in your bank account, which can be printed out of thin air to dilute the value of your past efforts. Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million, and it cannot be cheated, cannot be debased, it cannot be manipulated by anyone. So when you move your life energy into an honest system that can't be cheated, your internal state begins to shift. You move from that frequency of haste into the frequency of value, frequency of innovation, where you can exchange value for value, genuine and authentic. You're giving then your authentic life force to what you do, and you're being rewarded, and it's being recorded in that blockchain. Because in this system, the money you earn today will actually buy you more in the future, not less, because the value of Bitcoin is increasing and it can't be printed and it can't be diluted. So you're finally being given the gift of a longer time horizon in your life. You no longer have to live in that survival mode, in that fight or flight mode, and in that frequency of haste. So by securing your life energy or your energetic output into the world, into this sovereign, honest system, you are providing your nervous system with the safety it needs to stabilize your life, where higher consciousness can be felt in the body, and you can act as a unified intelligence rather than a system fighting for survival in this world. You can experience truth and abundance as a daily lived reality. Well, all that is a lovely idea, but in reality, your money is your 3D currency in this world, and you're no longer leaking it, and it's no longer being stolen from you. So your nervous system can finally stop holding its breath and begin to relax into a more divine, embodied sovereignty. That makes sense to me. So in this sense, Bitcoin, note that I say Bitcoin or not just any old cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is an enlightenment tool and a bridge to a new way of being. And as Jeff Booth says, it's a person who chooses to cross this bridge into an honest system that makes this path wider and easier for everyone else to follow. And by choosing a system of truth, of hope, and of abundance, you are practicing the ultimate form of energetic hygiene. You're reclaiming your sovereignty. You're ensuring your coherence, that your time, your focus, your life force, and your soul's mission are reflected in a mirror that is finally, for the first time in history, in a system which is completely clear and honest. Most money, as we know, is bound by the whims of politics and egos, but Bitcoin is bound to the laws of physics and mathematics. It has the fixed supply, it can't be cheated, and it takes time and energy to produce. It literally has the energy of the universe folded within its creation. And if you consider this, when you move your energy into an honest system, your internal field begins to change. You stop living in haste because you no longer fear that your time is being stolen. And this allows for what I call the frequency of innovation. When money is honest, humans return to their best selves. They have that time and spaciousness to explore the more subtle aspects of their life experience on Earth, to create things with excellence and to build things that are meant to last for generations and that are meant to make other people happy. This is a beautiful cycle of innovation, channeling your divine energy into things that genuinely help your fellow brothers and sisters, that genuinely bring value to others, and it is rewarding and bliss-making. So when we think about sovereignty, true sovereignty isn't just about having a certain amount of assets, it's about embodied sovereignty, and this is what I like to work with. The ability to be free, self-knowing being who can embody power and clarity in the most ordinary, everyday parts of life. That's relationships, hobbies, your work, your business, your money. By choosing to interact with honest systems, whatever they may be, not just Bitcoin, you're participating in what I call a global metamorphosis of human consciousness. You're moving out of the old extractive model of humanity and into a more coherent collective field. And this is more than just about investing. It's about energetic hygiene. It's about your consciousness. It's about clearing your field, clearing the collective noise and the anxiety of a collapsing system so that you can hear your own higher intelligence. And this is why I see Bitcoin as a spiritual technology. The 13 million year debt clock is ringing, and it's telling us that the old way, the porous, exhaustive, reactive way, is complete. If this resonates with you, resonates in your field, and you feel called to stabilize coherence and reclaim your energy into your life, then the door is open. For those feeling energetically scattered or overwhelmed, perhaps my energy hygiene or astral hygiene courses and teachings will help you clear and protect and stabilize your energy field. And for those called to develop their perception, their ESP or higher consciousness or channeling, or to get private guidance that can meet you in a very grounded way, I'm here too. For those ready to live this more fully into a year-long embodied sovereign consciousness mentorship program, this might be for people who want to really live high capacity with connection and bliss in every single layer of their life. Well, wherever you are, your next aligned step is waiting for you, with me or not. In fact, by watching this video, you've taken that next step. But I offer you links below if you're interested. Thank you for watching. I'm Gail Thomas, and thank you for having the interest to stay listening about Bitcoin. See you soon.